Your birthday wasn't an accident. Long before your mother felt the first movement in her womb, before your father knew your name, God marked a moment in eternity when you would break into this world. Not randomly, not by chance, but by deliberate design. The prophet Jeremiah records God's words with striking clarity. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Think about that. Before cells divided, before DNA spiraled into existence, you were known. Your arrival date carries encoded purpose, a divine signature declaring why you exist and what you were created to accomplish. When January emerges from the darkness of winter, it doesn't apologize for being first. It simply is. The opening movement of the year. And those who enter the world during this month inherit something ancient and powerful, the spirit of initiation. Genesis opens with 5 words that shattered nothingness. In the beginning, God created. That wasn't just the start of matter and energy. It established the pattern for how heaven operates. Order erupts from chaos. Light pierces shadow. Purpose detonates from void. If January marks your entrance into time, you carry this creative force in your bones. Where others see wasteland, you perceive potential. You don't wait for circumstances to align. You step into emptiness and speak life. Like Adam opening his eyes to a virgin world, you arrive with the ability to name things, to define reality, to give structure where there was formlessness. Your presence doesn't chase trends. It creates them. Consider the first day of January, the untouched beginning, the clean canvas. Those born on this threshold don't merely participate in life, they launch it. You became a seed of initiation before you understood what that meant. Abraham heard a voice in Ur and walked away from everything familiar. Moses stood before the most powerful man on earth when every rational voice screamed retreat. David ran toward a giant when trained soldiers cowered. You share their lineage, those who refuse to wait for permission. But the 6th day of January tells a different story entirely, the Epiphany. Wise men from distant lands saw a sign in the heavens and abandoned comfort to follow it across deserts. They had no map, only a star. And they trusted it enough to risk everything. If this marks your birth, you are a seeker, not of ease, but of revelation. You chase what others cannot yet perceive. You believe in signs when the world demands proof. And when you find truth, you don't hoard it. You bring gifts. You lay them before something infinitely greater than yourself. February exists between worlds. Neither fully winter nor spring, it occupies liminal space, the threshold where 2 realities touch. Those born here walk between visible and invisible realms. You feel what others rationalize away. You perceive connections that skeptics dismiss. Your heart operates on frequencies most people never tune into. This isn't fragility. It's access to dimensions others cannot reach. The 2nd of February marks something profound in the Christian calendar, the presentation of Jesus at the temple. Mary and Joseph carried their infant son to the altar and consecrated him. This wasn't religious theater. It was covenant. Total surrender. If you arrived on this date, your life mirrors this pattern. You cannot live for yourself alone. There's a pull toward the sacred, a whisper insisting you were set apart before you comprehended what that meant. Consider Samuel. His mother Hannah wept before God, desperate for a son. When heaven answered, she gave him back, placed him in the temple while still a child. Samuel grew up hearing God's voice when the high priest had gone deaf to it. February souls carry this gift. You hear what others miss. You sense atmospheric shifts before they manifest in the natural world. People gravitate toward you in their confusion, often without knowing why. But you understand. Those born in February become translators. You take the chaos of human emotion and transmute it into language others can comprehend. You create, not because you're trying to be artistic, but because beauty is the only medium deep enough to hold what you carry. Your empathy isn't sentimental. It's surgical. You can sit with someone in their darkest hour without flinching, because you've been there, and you know the way out. March arrives as the breaking point, the moment winter loses its grip and life surges violently back. If this month witnessed your birth, you carry resurrection power. You refuse to accept death as final. Not in relationships, not in dreams, not in yourself. You believe in second chances because you've lived them, bled through them, risen from them. The 17th of March marks something often forgotten, the day the springs of the deep burst open and ancient skies unleashed. God was wiping the slate clean. But he didn't obliterate everything. He preserved Noah, one righteous man who built an ark while everyone else mocked. If this day is yours, you felt the flood, the moments when everything familiar gets swept away, but you also know how to build, how to prepare, how to survive what drowns others. Then comes the 25th, the Annunciation. An angel appeared to a young girl in Nazareth and told her she would carry the Savior of the world. Mary's response still echoes across centuries. Let it be to me according to your word. No negotiation, no conditions. Just trust. If this marks your arrival, God has given you a mission that will cost you everything and give you more than everything. You won't always understand the blueprint, but you'll say yes anyway. March births natural communicators. Paul wrote that he wasn't ashamed of the gospel because it carried the power of God for salvation. You understand this instinctively. You don't speak to fill silence. You speak to shift atmospheres. Your words land with weight because they emerge from depths beyond opinion. You've wrestled with heaven. You've demanded answers. And when God finally spoke, you listened. April brings paradox, the month when the Christian calendar reaches its shattering climax. Holy Week. The cross. The empty tomb. Those born during these days understand that nothing truly valuable comes without sacrifice. You've learned to release your grip, not because it's easy, but because holding on would destroy you. Holy Thursday. Jesus gathered his closest friends and broke bread. This is my body given for you. He knew what was coming, the betrayal, the arrest, the nails, and still he gave. April's souls share this instinct. You pour out even when you're empty. You give even when it hurts, because you know that death isn't an ending, it's a doorway. Good Friday arrived. The sky went black at midday. Jesus hung between two criminals, suffocating under the weight of every sin ever committed. In his final breath, he declared, "It is finished, not I am finished. It is finished." The debt, the curse, the separation, accomplished. April people know how to finish what needs to end. You don't drag out dying relationships or failed ventures. You close chapters. You trust the silence that follows. Then Sunday, the stone rolled away, the grave empty, death itself defeated. If April marks your birth, you are walking testimony to this truth. You've been written off, counted out, left for dead. And you rose anyway, not because you're invincible, but because the same power that raised Christ pulses in you. April also holds Passover, the night the angel of death swept through Egypt, but passed over every house marked with blood. Those born now understand deliverance. You know what it means to be spared when others weren't. And it shapes everything. How you live, how you love, how you remain grateful, urgent, awake. May arrives when the world explodes with color. Flowers buried all winter suddenly break through soil. If this month witnessed your birth, you carry this energy. You find beauty in the smallest things. A conversation, a sunset, a stranger's unexpected kindness. You're not naive. You've seen darkness up close. But you refuse to let it define your vision. The 5th of May connects to David and Goliath, a shepherd boy facing a giant with nothing but a sling and 5 stones. Everyone else saw certain death. David saw an opportunity to prove God's power. If this day is yours, you don't back down from impossible odds. You run toward them, because you know the battle was never yours to win alone. It belongs to the Lord. May also holds Pentecost, the day the Holy Spirit descended on terrified disciples like fire. Suddenly they spoke in languages they'd never learned. People from every nation heard the gospel in their own tongue. May birth's communicators who bridge gaps, who translate complex truths into words that pierce hearts. Your eloquence isn't rehearsed. It's anointed. Those born in May build. You don't just dream. You lay foundations. You understand that freedom without responsibility becomes chaos. So you create structure. You establish order. You help others find stability when their world is spinning out of control. June marks the month of preparation, the time when farmers know whether their crops will survive. If you were born now, you think ahead. You don't make impulsive decisions. You calculate. You prepare. You build on rock, not sand. Jesus told a parable about 2 men. One built his house on sand, the other on rock. When storms came, only one house stood. June's souls are the ones who dig deep, who invest time in what lasts. You don't chase shortcuts. You do the work no one sees so the results everyone wants can stand. The 24th of June marks the birth of John the Baptist, the voice crying in the wilderness, the one who prepared the way for Christ. If this day is yours, you're a forerunner. You see what's coming before it arrives. You prepare others. You make straight paths. Your life isn't about personal glory. It's about pointing to something greater. John lived on locusts and wild honey. He wore camel hair. He didn't fit in, and he didn't try to. June people share this quality. You're not impressed by trends. You value substance over style. And because of this, people trust you. They know you won't lie to make them comfortable. You'll tell them the truth because you love them too much not to. July burns with intensity, the height of summer. And if this month marks your birth, you burn with questions. You're not content with surface answers. You dig. You study. You meditate. You want to know why. The number 7 pulses through this month. 7 days of creation, 7 churches in Revelation, 7 seals, 7 trumpets. If the 7th day of July is yours, you're marked by completeness. You're drawn to the mystical, the unexplainable, the moments when heaven touches earth and everything shifts. The 3rd of July celebrates Thomas, the disciple who doubted until he could touch Jesus' wounds. People mock Thomas, but Jesus didn't. He invited him to see, to touch, to believe. If you were born in July, your faith isn't blind. It's tested. It's wrestled. It's earned. And because of that, it's unshakable. July births teachers, guides, mentors. You don't just consume knowledge. You distribute it. You take what God shows you and translate it for those still searching. Your life is a lamp on a hill, impossible to hide. August blazes, the sun at its peak. And if this month witnessed your birth, you carry fire. You don't just wish for things. You bring them into being. You take invisible dreams and make them visible realities. The 6th of August is the Transfiguration. Jesus took Peter, James, and John up a mountain. There, his appearance changed. His face shone like the sun. His clothes became white as light. For a moment, the veil lifted. The disciples saw who he really was. If this day marks your birth, you've had these moments, when God pulled back the curtain and let you see. And it ruined you for the ordinary. The 15th marks the Assumption of Mary, the belief that she was taken into heaven, body and soul. Whether you hold this tradition or not, the symbolism is clear: elevation, transcendence, a life that didn't end in the grave. August people live with eternity in view. You're not satisfied with temporal success. You want the imperishable crown. August souls balance action with faith. You work as if everything depends on you. You pray as if everything depends on God. Because you know both are true. Proverbs says to commit your plans to the Lord, and He will establish them. You've learned this through failure and frustration, and now you move with confidence because you know who holds the outcome. September signals transition, summer fading, autumn approaching. If you were born now, you understand timing. You know when to push and when to wait, when to speak and when to stay silent. God is a God of order. He separated light from darkness, water from land. He gave Adam the task of naming the animals, bringing structure to creation. September people share this calling. You organize. You clarify. You take chaos and turn it into systems that work. The 29th honors the archangels, Michael the warrior, Gabriel the messenger, Raphael the healer. If this day is yours, you carry all three. You fight for what's right. You deliver truth. You restore what's broken. Your life is a trinity of purpose. September is also harvest season, the time when seeds planted months ago finally bear fruit. You understand this. You don't expect instant results. You plant. You water. You trust God to give the increase. And when the harvest comes, you share it. Because you know it was never just for you. October holds tension. The world preparing for death, leaves falling, temperatures dropping. But if you were born now, you see this differently. You understand that death isn't the enemy. Stagnation is. You're not afraid to let things end. Because you know resurrection is coming. The 4th celebrates Francis of Assisi, the man who abandoned wealth to follow Christ in radical poverty. He preached to birds. He called the sun his brother and the moon his sister. If this day marks your birth, you see God everywhere, in creation, in suffering, in silence. Your faith isn't confined to a building. It's written into the fabric of everything you touch. The 31st sits on the edge of All Saints' Day, a reminder that death is not the final word, that those who have gone before us haven't disappeared. They've crossed into something greater. October people live with this awareness. You're not afraid of endings. You walk through them with your eyes open, knowing that every death is a doorway. October births warriors, not because you seek conflict, but because you refuse to surrender to lies. You fight for truth, for justice, for the voiceless, and you don't quit, even when the odds are impossible, because you've seen God move mountains before, and you know He'll do it again. November whispers, the year winding down, the world growing quiet. And if this month marks your birth, you hear things others don't. You sense shifts. You feel the atmosphere change before the storm arrives. The 1st of November is All Saints' Day, a celebration of those who finished their race, who've crossed the finish line and received their crown. If you were born now, you live with eternity in your peripheral vision. You know this life is temporary, and it changes how you spend your days. November marks the end of the liturgical year, a time of reflection, of preparation, of waiting for Christ's return. November souls carry this sense of anticipation. You're not surprised by upheaval. You've been expecting it. And because of this, you're ready when others panic. November people are empathetic, not in a shallow feel-good way, but in a way that costs you something. You absorb the pain of those around you. You carry burdens that aren't yours. And sometimes it crushes you. But you do it anyway. Because love demands it. Philippians says God began a good work in you, and He will complete it. November souls cling to this promise. You trust the process. Even when it's slow, even when it hurts. Because you know God finishes what He starts. December arrives in darkness, the longest nights of the year. And yet, this is when the greatest light entered the world. If this month marks your birth, you carry that paradox. You shine brightest when everything around you is dark. The 25th. The birth of Christ. Angels announcing good news to terrified shepherds. Wise men bringing gifts across impossible distances. If this day is yours, your life is tied to this event. You're a messenger, a bringer of hope, someone who enters the room and changes the atmosphere. Jesus didn't come to be served. He came to serve, to give his life as a ransom. December people understand this. You give, not because you have excess, but because generosity is written into your DNA. You know that it's more blessed to give than to receive. And you've proven it 1,000 times. December souls are optimistic, not because you're naive, but because you've seen God's faithfulness. You've watched him provide when the account was empty. You've seen him heal what doctors said was terminal. You've experienced resurrection. So you don't panic when things look bleak. You wait. You trust. You know the morning is coming. Isaiah prophesied it centuries before it happened. For to us a child is born. To us a son is given. If December marks your birth, you carry the echo of that prophecy. You're a living reminder that God keeps his promises. That hope is not a feeling. It's a person. And his name is Jesus. If something in these words stirred recognition deep in your soul, don't let this moment pass. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear your story, your month, what resonated with you. And if this spoke to you, consider subscribing to the Convergent script. We're not building an audience. We're gathering a remnant, people who refuse to settle for shallow faith and surface-level truth. Hit that subscribe button, because what's ahead will shake you. And you don't want to miss it.